We will try and bring ourselves in a seated position. With the eyes closed, back straight, shoulders are relaxed. Body is completely at ease. Take a few breaths in and out, mindfully. So as I breathe in, I know I'm breathing in. At the moment that it's happening, we know that the breath is going in, the sensation of the breath entering the nostrils, and the sensation of the breath exiting. Where does it fall first? The upper lip, the sensation of clothes on the body. Maybe you feel warm or cool, or the temperature around is perfect. Just becoming aware of everything that's going on. Being very attentive to what's happening here and now. And when that happens, we are engaging the mind in the awareness mode. Not the thinking mode, but the being mode. Let's spend a few moments experiencing what that's like. And if you learned Ujjayi breathing yesterday, you could engage in some Ujjayi breathing at this time. As you exhale, there is a hissing sound. When ready, we'll chant 3 Omkaras. Take a deep inhale. Chant our opening prayer, hands in Namaskar Mudra. Please chant along if you know the prayer. Om Sahana Vavatu Sahanau Bhunaktu Sahaviryam Karavavahai Tejasvinavadhitamastu ma vidvishavahai. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Hands to the back. Hold your right wrist with the left hand. Lean back, inhale. Exhale, come forward. Bend from the lower hip. Go as far down as you can. And think of an intention at this time. What we want out of the practice, out of our life. Come up with an inhale. Release the hands, rub the palms. Continue to keep the eyes closed. And cup the hands, the facial muscles, around the eye sockets and the neck. And you can gently bring the hands back down And open the eyes whenever you feel ready. Okay. Namaste. Welcome to day 2 of the Women's Health Oriented Workshop brought to you by Vivekananda Yoga. On behalf of Vivekananda Yoga, I'd like to extend you all a very warm welcome. Also, on behalf of our Guruji, because of whom we have all been trained and able to present this to a wider audience. My name is Subhai Kambaram. I'm one of the teachers here. A couple of our other teachers also who've been long-time practitioners of yoga. Dr. Rashmi Vaidya, who's also a breast cancer surgeon, and Shanti Kalluri, who is been a long-time student of Guruji. They've all been, worked very hard to bring this workshop to you. We also have Priyanka Apte, who is one of our teachers as well, who will be performing all the asanas, but a little bit more advanced. So if you've been a long-time practitioner yourself and you want a little extra stimulation, you can follow Priyanka Apte as well and listen to the instructions from Dr. Rashmi and Shantiji. So before we get started, I'll hand over to Rashmi ji shortly, but I just wanted to let everybody know that this is not medical advice. And as therapeutic as yoga is, you should always talk to your doctor for specific conditions that you are looking to see results in. And do what you can, don't overdo, as we mentioned yesterday. For the benefit of those who have joined just today, I'm repeating a few things. Use the chat feature for your questions. And if you have issues, please do look up the chat feature because we are monitoring it constantly. Do not interrupt the workshop by unmuting yourself and saying something. And continue to keep muted. Today's focus areas would be the polycystic ovarian syndrome, infertility, dealing with obesity, and how to have a healthy concept of weight, what it is, back pain, varicose veins, and a variety of other therapeutic practices will be covered. So without further ado, I hand over to Rashmi ji. Namaste again. You're muted.
Okay.
Yeah.
Thank you, Shubhaji, and thank you, Pravinji and Guruji and everyone who has taken time out to attend this workshop today. You're doing yourself a huge favor. Women need to pay more attention to their bodies and minds so that they can be healthy for themselves and their families. My yoga journey started when, in the midst of trying to juggle professional and personal life and voluntarily complicating it with joyfully having 2 children and raising them, I ended up involuntarily complicating it by gaining weight over the years and also injuring my knee twice, which required 2 surgeries in a span of 6 years. At the end of it, I was left without being able to do pavement pounding aerobic exercises or extreme weight bearing strength training exercises either. So I turned to yoga because I seemed to have no option, little knowing that it would open up such a wonderful world for me that has made me better both physically and mentally since I've started practicing it. And so I'm very grateful and thankful for having discovered it. And I know that for me, it will be a way of life. So let me start by taking you back to a lesson in anatomy. This is by no means anatomically accurate. It is actually one of my son's Halloween decorations. However, I've picked this up because I can use it to represent what we use and do most in yoga, which is to control the body, control the prana, and control the mind. So obviously you can see this is a somewhat of a not perfect anatomical representation of a human skeleton. This is the rib cage. This is the skull or the cranium. This back here is the spine. This is not, there is somewhat of a bend in the neck here, the neck spine and the lumbar or the lower back area, which is pushed forwards, and this is which is pushed backwards. This pink stuff that you see here is the diaphragm. I've just put in a construction paper to show you the diaphragm and its relation to the rib cage and how everything really moves as a unit. Nothing is really independent of each other. It's all one thing that moves as a unit based on how we use it. Down at the bottom here, this is the pelvis. This is the pelvis, and this pink paper that you see here, I'm using it as a pelvic diaphragm. Okay, so there is another something called a urogenital diaphragm, which is below that. It's hard to represent it here, but the idea is that this is a purely muscular tendinous structure which is holding at the bottom. So it's holding us at the bottom. So the abdominal cavity on both ends being held by muscular partitions, the diaphragm and other abdominal muscles, and the pelvic musculature here at the bottom. The bones are supporting at the front and the back and the sides, not at the bottom. So keeping that in mind, let's look at one of the major muscles we are going to talk about today. This is the psoas muscle. This starts off almost here, kind of at the T12 or the thoracic, lower thoracic lumbar area from multiple locations and comes forward. And I'm trying to tuck this under here so I don't have to hold it. There we go. And then it comes forward and sort of goes around this to insert on the inner part of the thigh. I'm not sure if you can see this very well, but so it starts around in the lumbar area and kind of goes, let's have him say hi, it goes around and inserts into the inner part of the thigh bone, or the femur as it's called. Very powerful muscle. And as I'll show you in some of the pictures next, is responsible for how we hold our all emotions into our belly. There is a smaller part of it which also starts in this area, but then it joins up on the pelvis. It doesn't extend further. This is a psoas minor, which inserts onto the pelvis itself. And I'll explain why I'm talking about these muscles. These are not the only muscles, but this is one of the most important ones that is at the core of the belly. And we tend to think of it as the back. It's not really. It's quite in the center, very much in the core of the abdomen, okay? So with that, let me move on to showing you just a few quick slides. Can you see my screen?
No, not yet.
No, yeah.
Hang on. Present now. How about now?
Nope.
Not it.
Yeah.
How about now?
Still no.
Praveenji, how do I present my slideshow?
Yeah, just present now. And are you showing the desktop, or what are you?
Yeah, it's a laptop. I'm just trying to show them some slides.
No, but what are you presenting when you say present now?
I'm presenting a PowerPoint.
So yeah, it gives an option, your entire screen, a window, a tab, right? Like, are you doing?
I did.
And then you have to choose that window. If you're selecting a window, then you have to choose the window.
Okay.
You need to click on the window. But if you do your entire screen, probably you can show whatever you are seeing on the screen to everyone.
You need to present from Google Meet, not just in your presentation. Go to Google Meet and then there is a present option there.
I know I did that. I said present now. But I think you guys are just seeing my
So after present now, Rashmi, click on entire screen.
and then click on your PowerPoint.
Okay. How about now? Can you see it now?
No.
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 I think Rashmiji, we can do it at the end. You can send me the presentation.
Yeah.
So towards the end of the class, we can.
Yeah. Okay, that's fine. All right. Well, sorry about that. That worked yesterday when I tried it. Okay. So I think I will defer the discussion about the pelvic anatomy, physiology, all the nerves that innervate those muscles and how they change our behavior and our physiology towards the end. So then let's go on to starting our course here. Our focus is, like Shubhaji said, on weight gain, PCOS, infertility, varicose veins, and back pain. These are issues that will affect more than 50% of women in their lifetimes. And this is something that starts, these are diseases of slow accumulation, meaning over the years, we kind of tend to get worse if we don't, sort of act on it before. So the idea of yoga is, as I found, that if you are aware of the problem and you pay attention to it and you work on it with intention, then you will be able to arrest the problem before it gets to a stage of being irreversible. So future suffering can be avoided. So heyam dukkham anagatam. So if you arrest it at a point that it's not yet irreversible, you will get great benefits from it. So let's start with the breathing practices. Please scoot back so you can see me completely. Let's start with Kapalabhati. Kapalabhati is forceful expiration and passive inhalations. So the idea of Kapalabhati is we are doing hyperventilation, meaning we are blowing off the carbon dioxide from our bodies. And well, why do we want to do that? So scientifically, you can understand that there are receptors in our bodies which are very acutely sensitive to both oxygen and carbon dioxide levels. And so if we are blowing off carbon dioxide, that means we don't need to breathe as fast or as deeply. And also our heart rate does not need to be as fast so that it is down regulating the sympathetic. This is the brilliance of yoga, and it makes me scratch my head how these people knew about it so many thousands of years ago. I don't know whether they dissected human bodies at that point to figure it out or what they did, but it is brilliant that each of the practices has meaning rooted deeply in anatomy and physiology, a lot of which can be proven now. So let's start with Kapalbhati. It is supposed to have benefits so that your prefrontal cortex, which is our executive decision-making center, is energized. It is a good practice to do in the morning for you to wake up, let your brain wake up and be activated for your work of the day. So let's start. Sit in any comfortable position. Those who can get to Padmasana, please do so. If not, you can be in Sukhasana. Hands in Chin Mudra, which means your index finger is bent under to the base of the thumb and the thumb is crossing across it. What this means is the Atman, is the index finger, is submitting to the Paramatman, is the universal identity. And hold that with your palms facing upwards, relaxed on your thighs. What you're going to do is take a deep breath, inhale, and then you're going to forcefully exhale from both nostrils. Since we may have several beginners here, we'll just do it 10 rounds, so 10 times, and then take a deep breath when you feel like and just go back to normal breathing. This will be just an introduction to Kapalabhati. Normally it is done for many more rounds, but let us start. So relax, neck straight, back straight. Take a deep breath and 10 forceful exhalations. If you feel you need to breathe in between, do so. If you don't think so, you can just continue with the forced expirations. The only cautionary thing I would say is people who have uncontrolled blood pressure and uncontrolled untreated epilepsy shouldn't do it. It might trigger these conditions to worsen. Also, if you have glaucoma that is untreated. Any acute untreated condition, or if you don't feel comfortable while doing it, please stop. Always listen to your body. All right, let's start. At the end of it, as you practice this more and more, you'll realize that there is not a need to breathe in right away, and that persists for a few seconds, and then you feel the urge to breathe again. That's because the body has adjusted to the fact that you've blown off the carbon dioxide. So let's do that one more time. And last time. The second part of this is when we close one nostril and do forceful exhalation through just one side, through one nostril. We always do that with the left side first. So we hold the hands in the right hand in Nasika Mudra. So here the index and the middle finger is going to be on the Bhru Madhya or the eyebrow center. The right hand thumb is going to close the right nostril, and the left the right ring finger and the index finger are just being held back. And you're going to close the right nostril after deep inhale and do 10 exhalations through the left. Let's go ahead and do that. Deep breath, close the right nostril, 10 exhalations left side. Take a deep breath in and out again. And then with the right hand ring finger, you're going to close the right nostril and exhale forcibly close the left nostril and exhale forcibly through the right nostril. At this time, you will have your thumb released so that you can exhale through the right side. So let's go, deep breath and then exhale. And take a deep breath when you want to or feel the need to. So these are done in multiples. People do 10, 20, 60, up to 108 of these in order to be able to hyperventilate safely. And it is supposed to be a very energizing breathing exercise. So with that, let's move on to some breathing practices. So let's come on the hands and the knees. So your arms are 90 degrees to your back. And actually, let me move back a little so you can see my feet. So the knees are at 90 degrees as well. Your toes are pointed up. Your back is straight. We are going to take a deep breath and look up and sink the back down. Make the back concave. This is Marjariasana breathing, a cat or cow style pose breathing. So let's go ahead. Deep breath, look up. Push the arms down. You should feel the push in the ground, in under your palms and also at the knees. Your knees are straight, your back is concave, your head is looking forward, neck turned up. Deep breath in and breathe out as you round your back and get your head down. Round your back completely. Keep pushing down through the arms. The legs are straight at 90 degrees still. Breathing out. And come up again. Deep breath in. Make it concave. This is a very good exercise for the back, for strains, sprains of the back, especially the lower back. We tend to exhale as you round your back again. We tend to have the injuries most in our cervical spine near the neck and the lower back, which is the lumbar spine. And take a deep breath in as you lift up, make your back concave, pushing down. And breathe out. It is also changing the angle of the pelvis, tilting forwards and backwards, massaging the muscles in the area that we just spoke about very briefly right now. And also massaging the abdominal organs, and especially the pelvic organs. Lift up, inhale, lift your head back, and down again, rounding your back. Very relaxing posture, can be done really anytime. Next, couple of variations here. Lift your right hand up, take a deep breath, and bring it down under your left arm towards the left side, and sink down with your face to the left such that your right shoulder is touching the ground, resting on the ground. This is an awesome stretch for the shoulder and the upper back muscles. We tend to hold tension in these and never really give them a break, so this is a way to give them a break. And come up again, assuming sthiti. Do that for the left side. Inhale, raise that left arm up tall, like somebody's pulling it up to the ceiling. And as you exhale, thread it under the right arm, pushing it to the right. Turn your face to the right. Feel that push and tension behind that scapula on the left, that triangular bone behind your shoulder, directly on top of your ribs. That is pulling on the upper back muscles, the trapezius, the rhomboids, the teres majors, minors. Wonderful stretch for the upper back. And come up again. The next one is when we are opening up the hip. So bring your right leg forwards next to your right hand. And breathing in, push that leg out. Push it out. So it's an outward movement, abduction, and outward rotation, external rotation of the hip. And exhale, bring it back. Left leg forward, inhale, push out. Push out. Feel that burn, feel the burn on the inner side. Your adductors are going to feel the burn there. Your internal rotators are going to feel the burn. And exhale, bring it back. The other positions, I don't have the time to show, but as part of a psoas release, you would lift up your leg, that is lengthening the psoas and pulling it forward. Lifting it up and pulling it forward. Same thing on the other side, lifting it up and pulling it forward. But in the interest of time, I'm not going to do more repetitions of that. But I do want to show you a psoas release that you can do just standing there. Hold a support or hold the wall, whatever you feel like. And standing next to it with the support of the wall, just take a deep breath and extend that right leg backwards. Extend it backwards as far as it can go. And then slowly exhale, bring it forwards. Pay attention to where you're going to feel this lengthening. You will feel this deep in your core, in the center of the belly. That is the psoas. So inhale, extend the leg back. Exhale, bring it forwards. Inhale and exhale. Same thing for the other side. Inhale, extend the leg back, lengthening the psoas. Exhale, bring it forward, toning it. Psoas, the quadratus, and there are a lot of muscles deep within our core which we tend to contract and leave in a contracted state whenever we have sympathetic activation. There is a lot of nerve plexuses that run through this area and they all affect each other. It's almost like how a spider is aware of a prey in any corner of his web. Similarly, tension in any part of the body is felt like strings being pulled in any other part. So every cell of your body, every bone feels it. All right, so with that, let's move on to Surya Namaskar. So as part of the focus on obesity PCOS, Surya Namaskar is an excellent set of exercises which are very useful, especially when done dynamically, to reduce fat all over the body, but particularly at the waistline and abdominal fat, which is the most dangerous, and also to energize the whole body, loosen the body up. Again, the cautions against any back bend that we do today is uncontrolled hypertension. People who have that should not be trying these. If you have cervical spondylosis or acute disc herniation, please don't do it. If you have hernias or you have recently had abdominal surgeries, please don't attempt these extreme things. Otherwise, please listen to your bodies and follow along. So let me start with a prayer. Om Hiranmayena Patrena Satyasyapitam Mukham Tattvam Pushan Apavrunu Satya Dharmaya Drishtaye. So I'll be showing two sets. So actually one set, because there are 12 postures. We do it once with the right and once with the left. That makes one set. So when you're doing it, you have to do it in multiples of 2. So let's start. Have your feet are about a foot width apart, hands together in Namaskar Mudra. You should be doing this ideally facing the sun, the Purva Disha, morning or evening. And the first one is raising your arms up towards the sun, getting the cosmic energy from the sun. So this is the first position. Inhale, bend your back and push your hands back, lift your head upwards. This is a back bend. Exhale, come forwards, bending from the hip. Don't round your back until you get to a point that you're now able to bend down. And now it's okay to round your back and come and touch your feet. If you're not there, if you're at your ankles, that's fine. Just accept where you are. If you're able to get there, you can tuck your hands under your feet or put them by the side. Your legs should be straight. Back at this point is rounded, arms straight. Exhalation. Next, push your right leg back as far as it will go and rest your right knee down. Left knee is perpendicular to the ground. Hands are next to the foot. The left foot is forward. Right leg is bent back. You could bend back all the way so that your plantar aspect of the right foot is facing up. You can deepen this stretch by stretching back with both arms. Again, stretching out that upper chest, the back muscles, shoulder muscles. Or as a part of Chandra Namaskar, you can lift your arms up and stretch that. You should be feeling that in your biceps and also in the hamstrings on the left side. So incredibly good stretch for the whole body. Next, we are going to be in plank position. So your left leg joins the right leg in the back. Your neck is straight, back is straight, arms are straight, knees are straight. no bend anywhere. You're in one line in a plank position. In a dynamic form, we'll do next. We'll do it quicker. Next, you let your knees on the floor and go into Shashankasana. Relax, touch your forehead to the ground. Elbows are on the ground. Really stretch out the arms. Let them relax. Feel the relaxation in your back. Breathe in and out. Next, we are going to go into Sashtang Namaskar, 8 parts of the body touching the ground. Take a deep breath and bend forwards and a curve and come so that you're resting, supporting yourself with your hands. Your chest is touching the ground, your navel and your butt are off the ground, toes touching the ground, chin touching the ground. I'm speaking, but you would be holding your breath in this position. Next position, lift up, inhale. Your navel is just off the ground or on the ground. Shoulders are straight, arms are straight, pushing into the ground. Legs are straight. Next, exhale, push down with your arms, your head is down, legs are straight, as close to the ground as possible with your head, keeping your arms straight. If your entire foot can be on the ground, that's great. If not, don't worry about it. And next, we come back into Shashankasana. Relax again, breathe in and out. And then we are going to come in Ashwasanchalanasana again. You could stay just here with your arms by the side. Left leg is now extended back and the right leg is folded in the front. Next, you're going to bring the left leg to join the right. Bending forward in exhalation. So all forward bends are exhalation. Backward bends are inhalation. And then we come up again. Bend back with your back and your arms go backward. Inhale and come to Namaskar Mudra. We'll do that with the left side a little quicker. Ekam, Tve, Tredi, left leg back, inhalation. Chatvari, plank. Pancha, Shashankasana. Shata, Sashtang Namaskar, breath out in exhalation. Sapta, Bhujangasana, inhalation. Ashta, exhalation, Adho Mukha Svanasana. Nava, Shashankasana again, in and out breathing. Dasha, Ashwasanchalanasana again. Again, remember those variations. Ekadasha, Padahastasana. Swadasha, Asta Uttanasana again. So very, very energizing practice. If this has tired you out, please come with your hands resting on your knees. Breathe in through your nose, out through your mouth. That is called Mukha Dhauti. Take a minute to let your heart rate come back to normal. What we often fail to understand is in our enthusiasm to do all kinds of very hectic aerobic activity, we forget to relax. It is as important to relax as it is to raise your heart rate up. That is the wisdom behind the high intensity interval training that the West has now adopted. The idea is you want to have some heart rate variability. That is the slight difference, microsecond difference in the heart rate when it's returning to normal. You don't want to be always at 98 or 100 or 150, whatever it is after aerobics. So you want to bring resilience into your body so that you can have a more stronger heart. Okay, so the metabolic syndrome or the polycystic ovarian syndrome, obesity, these are all tied in because when we start gaining weight, there is a very intimate connection between the pituitary, the ovaries, and the hypothalamus emotions affect it, and it leads to excess of androgens, which promote facial hair. So there are very few periods, a lot of facial hair, weight gain, eventually diabetes, heart disease, infertility ensues. So we are all on a spectrum of insulin resistance and all these predisposing conditions that will ultimately lead to some sort of end stage disease. And Surya Namaskar is an excellent practice that you can do, whether you do in, just for 10 minutes a day or half an hour a day. It would be extremely useful to you starting today to help mitigate these things. All right. So next, we are going to do what's called as Trikonasana. So Trikonasana, we are going to stand with our feet apart. Whatever you're comfortable with is fine. And here, what we are going to do, there are different variations of it. We'll start with the most basic one. So we are going to inhale, take a deep breath, arms to the side. And when we exhale, we're going to keep our legs locked. The knees are going to be locked. And we are going to not turn forwards or backwards, but just turn on the side as we are exhaling to come down and touch the right foot. If it's better for you to be at the ankle, please be there. If you're all the way down, that's great too. Just try to stay in one plane and turn your head and look at the arm that is going up. Keep your legs straight, knees straight, arms straight. Fantastic stretch out. See all this trunk muscles, the serratus, transversus, rectus. Wonderful stretch for all these muscles on the side. Excellent for reducing the fat buildup. And inhale. Again, come back to Sthiti. We'll do that on the left side. So inhale. Exhale, bend down, touch your foot, turn your head to look at the right hand going up to the ceiling. Stay in one plane. As long as you're comfortable. It's the isometric part of the lengthening of the muscles that really builds strength into them. So come up again, inhale, and come to Sthiti. Feel free to take a breath anytime you want to take a break, take water, whatever it is you need. Next variation is going to be, again, same thing with Trikonasana. We are going to bend so that we are bringing the hand across. So here, arms up again. Turn the right foot slightly to the right. Adjust yourself. If you need to bend to the 90 degrees, that's fine. But if you are able to, try to keep it straight. And bend down again, just like this time. And now, you can keep your arm on your hip like that. Or if you can, if you're able to balance it, push it out to the same side behind you and look at that outstretched hand behind you. Again, excellent stretch for the trunk muscles, but also a twist. And inhale, come up. And bring your right leg back to the front. We'll do the same thing on the other side. Left leg at an obtuse angle, but straight. Arms up, deep breath. Exhale as you come forward. As you come to the side, touching your foot on the left, putting your arm on your waist, or pushing it out beyond the left side, the left foot, and gazing at your outstretched hand. Wonderful stretch. And inhale, come up again, and relax. Third variation, arms up again. Deep breath. As you exhale, you're going to keep your legs straight, but this time you're going to twist. So you're going to twist to get your right arm to touch your left foot. Go ahead, take a deep breath. Exhale, touch your right arm to the left foot. Twist your head back so your eyes are looking at the outstretched hand above you. And come to 90 degrees and come up. Take a moment to relax if you want to. If not, let's do the same thing on the other side. Arms up, deep breath. Exhale, right hand is touching the left ankle, dorsum of the foot, head is twisted. To look at the right arm stretched up. Feel that burn. Feel it in the hamstrings, feel it in the twist of the trunk. Equivalent stretch. Come to 90 degrees. Inhale, come up and relax. Very nice asana for all these conditions that we mentioned before. Take a moment. You can do Mukha Dhauti if you like. Right. Next, we are going to come to seated. I don't know if you can see the bottom of my. Okay. You'll come to Vajrasana. We are going to do Ushtrasana or camel pose. This is a severe back bend. So people with high blood pressure, any spinal problems, acute hernias, please don't attempt. As always, listen to your body. So let's come to standing on the knees. Arms are by your side. Take a deep breath. Lift your right arm up and have it come back and hold your ball of the right foot. Same thing with the other arm. Deep breath, rotate it back and have it hold the ball of the left foot. Arms are straight. Push your pelvis up and in the front. Let your head hang back. Breathe. You shouldn't be holding your breath in this position. Breathe. Feel the burn. You will feel it in the rectus femoris in the front and in the outstretched trunk muscles anteriorly and in your extended arms backwards. As you come forward, let your arm go one at a time and you come forwards again. Ushtrasana camel pose, very powerful to open up the psoas and all the lumbar muscles here. Very good pose for opening it up and massaging the pelvic organs. So normally we would do few rounds of it, but in the interest of time, I'm gonna have to keep going here. So since this was a backward bend, I'm gonna complement it with a forward bending asana. So we'll come down to sitting, Saithalya Asana. So Saithalya Asana is so named because this is a pose for animals for relaxation. So you can start with arms outstretched, legs outstretched, and then you get your right leg to bend so that your foot is near your perineum and sort of touching the base of your left buttock. And then the left leg is bent also to the back such that it is touching the left buttock on the back end of it. So you're bent with both knees, but not together like Bharadwajasana. You're separating it out. So they are one behind the other. You're going to lift your arms up. You can interdigitate your thumbs together if you want. Take a deep breath and bend forward from the hip, slowly, controlled, coming down until you can touch the ground. If you're not there, just stay where you are. If you're touching the ground, that's great. If not, Just stay where you are and exhale. You can breathe in this position and then take a deep breath. Come up and come down. Let your legs go so that you're able to switch the position. So left leg bent, going to the right buttock, and right leg bent back behind. Keep your back straight, neck straight, shoulders straight, arms up. Deep breath in and bend forwards, forward slowly until you're resting your head on the ground. If not, just accept where you are. And slowly come up and relax. You can relax in Shithila Dandasana. You're going to bring your legs forward, hands behind you, supporting you. A few breaths. Let your breath come to normal. Just relax. You can hang your head back if you like. Deep breath in, slow breath out. When you're breathing mindfully, the count should be 1:4. The length of the inhale to exhale should be 1:4. Okay. Next, we are going to do Ardha Matsyendriyasana. Priyanka might be able to do the full Matsyendriyasana. Those of you who are advanced practitioners, please look at her tile to watch her do that. I'm going to show just the Ardha Matsyendriyasana. This is a spinal twist in a seated position. Matsyendranath apparently overheard the gist of Hatha Yoga when Shiva was discussing it with Parvati, so the legend goes. And so this asana is named after him. Excellent benefits for increasing blood flow back to the heart from all the lower body, including the pelvis and the lower limbs. So let's start. We are going to be in, after being in Shithila Dandasana, we're going to have our right leg bent so that the foot is again near the base of the left buttock. Next, we are going to have the left leg crossed over across the right leg, across the right knee to the other side. Your right arm is going behind, almost behind your left buttock, if you can manage that. If not, just have it behind you. And then the left arm is coming and holding the ankle. If you're not there, just push your left knee so that it's upright. If you can, just get to your ankle and hold it so it's steady. And then take a deep breath, turn back to look at the wall behind you so that both your shoulders and your head are in one line. Wonderful twist to the entire torso and a nice squeeze to your limbs so that the blood is getting back from the calf pump up. Ardha Matsyendriyasana. And release your arm. Let your left leg go. Untwist your right leg. Relax, and when you're ready, we'll do the other side. So then, left leg bends, comes, foot is touching the right butt base, right leg twisted across the left knee to the other side. Your left hand is going back, so it's almost near your right butt, and the right arm is extending, holding your left ankle, and you look back. You're pushing your knee so that it's upright, and you look back. Breathe. Feel the twist in the torso, the serratus, the transversus, these muscles, the latissimus on the sides of your trunk are feeling it. Wonderful spinal twist in the sitting position. Excellent for the pelvic organs, all the multiple menstrual issues that come up. And untwist and relax. Next, I'm going to move on to some lying down. So we are going to do Paschimottanasana. So let's lie back supine on the ground, arms by your side. Feel your breath, let it come to normal. Lift your arms above you and take a deep breath and rise up. And as you exhale, bend forwards from the hip, coming down until you find your feet. Hook your thumb around, hold the thumb, hold the big toes with your both your hands, and then bend down as far as you can without bending your knee to try to relax, to get your head to touch the knees. If you need to hold your ankles, that's fine too. Breathe in this position. You'll find that if you stay here for some time, you can relax and go deeper in this position, but never just pull yourself forward. Just let yourself relax into this position. The forward bend. It's called Paschimottanasana because the front of the body, the ventral side of the body, is considered a Purva Disha, probably because we always try to face the sun. The back of the body is called Paschim. Paschim Utta is back side is upward. So the back portion of the body is up. That is why Paschimottanasana. Excellent for relieving congestion in the pelvic area, in the abdominal area. Wonderful massage for the hamstrings, the calf pump. Feel comfortable breathing here. If you can't stay here, obviously go back to the Shitila Dandasana. But if you can, it's a great asana for stretching. And come up and let your arms come down to the side. Next, I'm going to show something called Viparita Karni. I think you guys did it yesterday as well. The importance of it is that it is something that is incredibly useful for several pathologies. I'm arranging a little support for the lower back here. This is the simple version of Viparit Karni that I'm showing here. So you would get yourself as close to a leg, your legs to a wall as possible. And then you would lie down, adjusting the pillow or the blanket under you to support your lower back, and lie down and let your feet come up. Your hands are outstretched. Your knees are straight, feet are pointing to the ceiling. This is an inversion position. This is helping blood get back into the central body. The idea is that it helps in various ways, reducing the varicose veins, helping blood flow, venous return back to the heart, helping the lymphatic flow back to the heart. Also, it is changing your perspective in life. You're seeing things from the floor rather than looking down on things. Excellent for pelvic congestions, pelvic problems, to be avoided during active menstruation and in higher stages of pregnancy. So let me come down from here and show you the actual version of Viparita Karni. I know Ashwini did an excellent job yesterday. It bears repetition only because it has so many benefits, especially for women. So you're going to lie down, feet pointed forwards, hands by our sides. Take a deep inhale, lift the legs up, bend them at the knee. You can use the hands to support the legs as they come up. And it's okay to have this acute bend rather than trying to be straight if that's all you can get. But you could support the legs up so that you're bearing your weight on your shoulders and legs are going up. So the shoulders, the elbows, the head is holding your weight, your legs are straight. It's an incredibly relaxing pose. You can do various breathing practices in this pose. You can practice many bandhas in this pose. That's a little advanced. However, excellent for several problems related to the pelvic region, relaxing the muscles of the pelvic diaphragm. We are constantly pushing against the pelvic diaphragm, causing problems with incontinence, prolapse. You can actually relax in this asana. When it's time to come down, bend your legs, support it with your arms, and slowly, with the support of your arms, come down one vertebrae at a time to relax down and spread your legs out. And it's almost 10 o'clock. I just want to complement this asana with a Khandarasana, which is a shoulder bridge pose. In the same position, because we did a forward bend, we would be doing this to complement it. So you want to hold your feet about 1.5 feet apart and hold your ankles with your hands on both sides and take a deep breath and push up your body, up your pelvis, push up. Your weight is resting on your shoulders and your neck and head. It's often to be avoided by people in higher stages of pregnancy, but otherwise excellent for all menstrual problems, menopausal symptoms. Wonderful stretch for the back and the trunk. And come down and relax. And last but not the least, I want to show some psoas lengthening and releasing actions. So these are not exactly asanas, but something to do simply when you're lying supine and to bring awareness to the psoas and your core muscles, which we tend to tighten every time we are upset emotionally. We hold the emotion there. Children do that too when they curl up into a fetal position. So here, as you have your hands on your hips, so you know when it's starting to move. And then slowly inch forward with the right leg until such time that you can feel your hip bending forward. So when the hip starts to have a forward bend, stop and then come back with your knee to relax on the right foot, and do that with the left side. So let your left leg or your left foot keep sliding forwards. Your left hand is on your pelvis, so that as soon as you detect a forward tilt of your pelvis, you're going to stop. The idea is these motions are helping to relax and lengthen your psoas. So just a very simple, your knees are bent and resting on the ground beside you, and you're just slowly releasing the psoas one at a time. Just slowly, mindfully bringing attention, awareness, and intention to what you're doing. And you'll find that it relaxes you at the core. Just even straightening the leg up and holding it 15 degrees above the ground alternating with each other is going to help relax and strengthen the psoas. Okay, very good. I think my time is up. I'm probably 5 minutes over. So at this point, I'm going to hand over the session to Shantiji. Thank you for being patient with me. We have a lot of online classes with Vivekananda Yoga at vivekanandayoga.us. I encourage you to check it out. And I think you'll not regret getting on this journey with yoga. It is really a way of life. So Shantiji, I'll transfer over to you now. And I'll mute myself.
Can you hear me? Thank you, Rashmi ji. Thank you, everyone. And thanks again for joining us on day 2 here today. And yesterday I mentioned about my journey, yoga journey, but I just forgot one important point. Just want to add to that before we begin. I mentioned that I started my yoga journey in my mid-40s, and I had knee pain, back pain, I went through menopause issues, and I am in a better health condition today, but I could not have done that without my yoga teachers, Guruji's motivation and help. So I just want to thank Guruji for motivating me and also giving me a little nudge, because we are all strong women and we all think that we are independent, we don't need any guidance, we know what we are doing, but unfortunately we do need guidance and we do need that little nudge from people who have experienced, been through all this. He has seen thousands of students who have been through the same situation as we are. Some of us who are going through different ailments, obesity or knee pain or whatever, diabetes. So he has seen thousands of them. So I would appreciate if we take, and I would request all of you to take advantage of this study, the program here, what we offer, which is a holistic approach, and then benefit from it. Because Guruji always mentions that Satu Dirgha Kala Nirantarya Satkala Sevito. Yoga should be done for a long time and without any interruptions, and also with reverence. We should not be doing yoga by doing some chore at home. Do yoga with reverence, as we do prayer, or with reverence towards the body and mind. So with that said, and we are all human doings, as Guruji fondly says, we are all human doings. We are not human beings, because we all like to do something. So without much further delay, let's start doing. Let's talk about back pain first, and I'm going to talk about back pain. And we picked back pain as a special category because most of us, not only it's not isolated to women, it's both men and women suffer from back pain, and also the back pain is associated with, for many reasons. It comes for many reasons. It's one of yoga believes that there are different types of diseases or ailments. One is called Adija Vyadhi and the other is called Anadija Vyadhi. Adija Vyadhi is something that is self-introduced, stress-borne. So we can consider back pain also as one of these stress-borne disease, because by incorrect posture, incorrect standing, prolonged sitting, prolonged standing, or incorrect postures, we are getting our back pain. And we are getting back pain also, believe it or not, by looking at our cell phone for too long. And with this day and age, we cannot be with our cell phone, without our cell phones. So we are looking down at our cell phone. By looking down at our cell phone, we are putting 20 pounds of our head weight on the spine. And Rashmi ji has explained how important our spine is, and all the muscles, how they are tight, and if some of you are maybe familiar with it. So by adding 20 more pounds, and I have heard the research shows that it is more than 20 pounds depending on the way we lift or drop our head down. And we are not doing that for a few minutes a day. Lately, we have been working on our phones, and that's more than a few minutes a day. So that's adding all that weight to our back, and lower back is one of the reasons for a severe lower back pain. So this falls under the Adija Vyadhi of what yoga talks about. So to take care of these Vyadhis, we need to get started, and you may want to pin Priyanka. Those of you who want to look at the postures, she's going to do a perfect posture. So my posture is better than mine. So if you want to pin Priyanka now, you can do it. Otherwise, we are going to do a couple of asanas. One is called Bharadwajasana first. Bharadwajasana is it, and having been through the lower back pain, I know how easy to look at it. It looks very easy, but having been through the back pain and the issues related to back pain, I know it is very, very difficult asana, and it really massages the lower back muscles. So put both your feet to one side, either to the right or left. So I turn both my feet towards the right, and my left hand is going towards my left. Closer to your body, don't go drop down, just keep it straight. And your right hand is turning towards your left, and tilt your body and look back. And when you're looking back, don't our goal is to elongate the spine. So our goal is to elongate the spine. The spine is erect. Back straight, and look back. And observe the stretch in the lower back. And stay in that position for a couple of seconds. This asana looks very easy for people who are in healthy condition. But people with lower back pain, this is a big difference. This makes a big difference. So relax. Again, come back. Turn to the left again. Both your feet to the left. Your right hand goes behind, and look back. Again, we are not doing this. We are not hunching our back and just looking back. Elongating our spine and looking back. Be in that position and observe. Yoga is all about observation. Living through or experiencing talks about experience yoga, not do yoga. So we have to experience, be in that position and understand. So that's Bharadwajasana, very good for lower back. And if you have very severe back pain, you may not be able to do that. And all these asanas, they look very simple, but if you have very severe back pain or severe health conditions or in advanced stages of pregnancy, you should not be doing. Next, we'll be doing Bhuna Monasana. Bhuna Monasana is also again very simple one, but again, we are twisting the spinal cord in order to be able to flex all the muscles around it. So we are trying and going and touching we're trying to touch the floor. And the important point here is our goal is not just to touch the floor with our forehead. Our palms are touching the floor, elbows are off the floor. So we are not lying down and touching. That's the wrong posture. Correct posture is only the palms touch the floor. So try going and touching the floor with your forehead. Your feet are in active position. Do not bend your knees. Feet are straight and the feet are looking up, active. And then try and touching the floor. If you cannot go all the way to the floor, it's okay going this way. Again, our goal is not to touch the floor, to get that twist in the spinal cord. So twist, touch there. If you cannot go all the way to the floor, otherwise go all the way to the floor. Make sure your feet are looking up. Go down. And again, there is nothing, yoga is all about breath. So we are breathing in the center and breathing out as we go down. Breathe in the center, breathe out as we go down. Breathe in the center, breathe out as we go down. Do that one more time. Breathe in the center, breathe out. The rishis, the sages who have designed the yoga asanas, they have done an incredible job, as Rashmiji explained. They have also said that we always breathe in comfortable position. Many times we all think, okay, where do I breathe in these asanas? The important thing is, out of this asana, what is the most comfortable position? So this, for Bhuna Monasana, obviously this is the comfortable position. So as we are coming up, we breathe in. As we are going down, we breathe out. And the same applies for every asana. So it's a no-brainer if you just apply some common sense and logic towards it. But if we do it the opposite way, it has negative effects, and also it unnecessarily puts pressure on our body and mind and our breath. So we get exhausted pretty soon. So with that, we will be going to prone posture asanas. We haven't done any prone posture. Prone is lying down on your abdomen. So let's lie down on your abdomen. You guys can see me? So you're lying down on your abdomen and we are doing Bhujangasana. Bhujangasana, we are doing couple variations. Priyanka will be doing all the advanced version. We'll be doing the simple version first. So the first simple version is lie down on your abdomen, chin touching the floor, your hands near your chest region, and actually hands near your head, and then just gently lift up. Elbows on the ground, feet together, lift up. Observe the pressure in the lower back. Breathe in, breathe out. We're practicing this breathing here, not staying there for too long. Breathe in, out. After having done that couple times, now bring your palms towards your rib cage. Then again, feet together. As you breathe in, lift up. You can straighten your hands, your elbows, if you can. If you cannot, even this is fine too, depending on the status of your back. You're going all the way up. People with severe back pain may not be able to be here in this position for long. So breathe in, be in this position. Breathe out, come down. We are working again with lower back. Breathe in, up. Breathe out, down. One last time. Next, we'll do one more for lower back, which is again a very good one, is Ardha Shalavasana. So make a small gentle fist, don't tighten your fist, place it on your thighs. Make a fist, place your hands on your thighs, and then gently move forward. Push your hand and then move forward. Your chin is on the floor, so what you're touching is chin. And then gently lift your right leg up as high as you can. Observe the stretch in the lower back and the pressure it is putting on your lower back. And then bring it down. Now left leg, breathe in, bring your left leg up. Breathe out, bring it down. Right leg up, breathe in. Breathe out. Don't tighten your muscles. You're working with our lower back. So keep your shoulders relaxed. Breathe in, right leg up. Breathe out, bring it down. Right leg, left leg up. Left leg down. Priyanka, can you show the full Salavasana? Priyanka can show the full Salavasana. For people who can, they can practice the full Salavasana where we are lifting both the feet up. But we'll move on to the next asana. So we have worked with our lower back, and we need to do a complementary asana to make sure our back stays intact. There are many complementary asanas, thankfully, but we picked something that is beneficial for our lower back also. So lift your left leg up, go back into prone supine position, lift your left leg up, bend it, and then hold it. Hold it with your both your hands, and then gently lift your head up. So the ideal position is you need to touch your forehead to your knee. I'm not able to touch that, but that's the Priyanka will be showing you. And then be in this position and observe the stretch. Just be here. And then again relax. Lift your leg up 90 degrees, back, down. Again, lift your right leg up, bend down, and lift your head up, and then see if you can touch. Your left leg is straight and active. Again, relax. Lift it up, and then gently bring it down. And I forgot to mention that those of you who cannot lie down, lying down on the back, please take a blanket and then put it down under your back, because having experienced the back pain, I understand lying down in supine position was a torture in the beginning. It is not easy. So lying down like this would certainly help with all these asanas. So please use a blanket if you have severe back pain. So we have done the forward stretch, and now let's keep our feet together like this. Stretch our palms apart. Stretch our palms wide, hands wide apart. Then fold your legs, then drop them on one side, head opposite side. Again, observe the stretch. We are not just dropping the feet. We are pushing. Make sure you get a curvature in your lower back. Make an effort for your knees to touch the ground. Put pressure on your knee. Observe the stretch in the lower back. Breathe in, come back up. Breathe out, go to the other side. Head opposite direction. The reason we turn the head in the opposite direction is because we do not want the muscles to get stressed and cause issues, tighten up of our muscles. So again, turn to the right, head opposite direction. Breathe in the center, breathe out, go to the side. Your neck muscles may cause, may be tight and stiffened if you don't turn your head to the side. I've done that. Turn to the side and come back in the center. There's one more, the last one. So here we are lifting both our feet up and then just hold them like this. Just hold them like that. Depending on your comfort position, you can just hold both your feet and then gently rock the baby. Observe the lower disc, all the muscles that are being stimulated, gently massaged. This looks very simple, but people with lower back pain, we can tell, it is very difficult and not easy to do this. But by gently practicing this every day consistently, Dirghakala Nirantarya Satkala Sevita, you will be able to see the results. Then gently put your feet down and then relax. So we can, even on all these simple asanas and stretches, we can complicate them under guidance, of course. So when we are here in this position, we can keep the feet down and then stretch it out, or being in this position, you can control both the feet together and then stretch them out without touching the floor. You will observe that you are using your core muscles there. Okay, that's it. You've done a good job. Let's go into a relaxation. Lie down. Those of you who need a blanket under your back, take a moment. Use a blanket under your lower back, not under your head, under your lower back, and relax. Yoga is all about stimulation and relaxation. We have plenty of things in the outer world that stimulate us. They talk about relaxation, but watching TV or watching something else is stimulating our eyes and brain. So relaxation comes by closing our eyes and relaxing our body and mind. Yoga teaches us how to relax without any aids. We don't need any outside sources for relaxation. When you lie down, make sure your palms are facing up. They are curled a little bit. They are gently relaxing. Your shoulders are touching the floor and relaxing. Your right foot falls to the right Left foot falls to the left. Your abdomen is going up and down. As you breathe in, it's going up. As you breathe out, it's going down. Breathe in, bulge your abdomen. Breathe out, suck it in. Breathe in, bulge your abdomen. Breathe out, suck it out. If there is one statement you need to take from this relaxation, it is breath is a bridge to the body and mind. Breath is a bridge between the body and mind. Simple yet profound statement. If we want to relax our mind, we need to focus on the breath. That is the only tool we have to calm down the mind. And how do we do that? Yoga Chitta Vritti Nirodha. It says yoga stops the chattering of the mind. How does it stop the chattering of the mind? Yoga Manah Prasamna Upaya. By teaching you simple tricks. Yoga teaches you simple tricks to calm down the mind. And what are those tricks? It says, through breath, we can control our mind. So focus on the breath and things will fall in place. Now visualize a bright light is entering into your body as you breathe in. As you breathe in, a divine life-giving force called prana is entering into your body. It's making you healthy, happy, lively, and beautiful. Along with it, as you breathe in, it's bringing in utsaham, sahasam, dhairyam, buddhi, shakti, all the positive qualities we need. As you breathe out, it's taking away all the negative qualities. Damba, darpa, ahankara, niraha, nispruha. All the negative qualities within us. Yat bhavam tad bhavati. We believe that this is what is happening, then positive hormones are secreted. Negative hormones are suppressed. Because belief creates biology. You just need to believe As we breathe in, this life-giving force called prana is healing us. It's healing our body, and it is stopping the chattering of the mind. Paying attention to our breath. We have calmed down our thought process. Now we can enhance this relaxation by chanting Akara. Akara is a vibration when you chant Akara. Notice the vibration in the lower part of your body. Under your abdomen, your legs, thighs. Let's chant Akara. Take a deep breath and observe the vibrations. Our goal is to observe the vibrations. Take a deep breath. Again, take a deep breath. Now, let's chant Ukara. When we chant Ukara, we can find the vibrations in the central part of our body near the chest region. Take a deep breath. Again, take a deep breath and observe the vibrations in the chest region. Now let's go on to the head region. When we chant Makara, the vibrations are felt in the head region. Take a deep breath. Again, take a deep breath. Now let's chant A, O, Ma together for Omkara. And Omkara is not just A, O, and Ma. There is also a silent exhalation after Makara, which is equally important. Don't drag Akara. Distribute A, O, Ma together. And as you exhale, hold on to your breath with a silent Makara. Take a deep breath. One more time. Observe the vibrations flowing from your lower
part of our body, up your body, into the middle region and into the head region. Take a deep breath. Gently turn to your side and come to sitting position. You can keep your eyes closed if you can. Come to sitting position. We'll just do Anulom Vilom Pranayama and then close down the session. Hold Nasikadra Mudra. Fold your forefinger and the middle finger. Take your thumb. Close your right nostril. Breathe in through your left nostril. Close the left nostril with your ring finger. Breathe out through your right nostril. Spine erect. Chin parallel to the floor. Breathe in through the right nostril. Breathe out through the left nostril. Breathe in through the left nostril. Breathe out through the right nostril. Do that 2 more times. Let's chant the Shanti Mantra, closing prayer. Sarve Bhavantu, all of us together. Take a deep breath. Sarve Bhavantu Sukhinaha, Sarve Santu Niramayaha, Sarve Bhadrani Pashyantu, Ma Kaschid Dukkha Bhag Bhavet. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Take your right hands back. Hold your right wrist with your left hand. Breathe in up. Breathe out. Gently bend down. Remember the resolution you have made today. If you have not made a resolution, make a resolution that you will be practicing yoga, looking inwards for a happy, healthy body and mind. Take a deep breath. Rub your palms. Gently cup your eyes. Massage your facial and neck muscles. And thank you. Thank you for joining our workshop today and have a great day.
Thank you, Sandy. Thank you, everyone. Rashmi ji.
Thank you, Shanti Garu. Thank you, Dr. Rashmi.
Thank you.
Thank you, Rashmi ji and Shanti ji.
Thank you so much.
If you have any questions, you can post in the chat window. We can answer, or you can send us an email. We'll answer them.
Thank you, Rashmi ji and Shanti ji and everyone in the team. Great job.
Thank you.
Thank you all the instructors. Appreciate all your.
Awesome.
Thank you. Thank you, everybody.
Thank you.
Guruji, namaste. Dhanyawad.